Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Ah, Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant.
Whoa, that's refreshing.
And a 9.5 plus pH for every way you move.
I did take a spin class today.
Restoring like a pro. Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
This October, the Wrong Station celebrates a decade of dread. You can read the show notes to discover terrible new ways to celebrate with us. Today's episode, Where Old Dogs Go, is written by Alexander Saxton and performed by Anthony Botelho. My parents have been looking for a place to retire out in the country, and most weekends they get in the car and drive around southwest Ontario, looking for a town that feels right. They haven't found one yet. From time to time, I'll head out with them, riding in the back seat like when I was a kid, feeling the wind outside the open window, listening to them talk about clients or about mom's sisters, or bicker about this or that little thing. It's a peaceful way to spend a weekend now and then. A little while ago, we were up around an hour-and-a-half drive north of the city, just past Lake Simcoe. We were driving through one of the little towns up there, Fergus or Fenstoke or something. And as we passed a series of fields baking under the September sun, Mom looked wistfully out the window and said, "Oh, that's where we sent Charlie. Hi, Charlie." It took me a moment to make sense of that. "Excuse me? Charlie? Your dog?" He was a golden retriever. He loved to dig burrows in the dry dirt and nestle into them. We called him the Great Golden Mole. Once, when I was small, I crawled into one of his burrows and he freaked out, charging up and down the lawn, barking until Mom came outside and forced me to climb out. I don't really remember how old I was when we lost Charlie. Somewhere in the long gold dream between 6 and 11 years old. "I know who Charlie is. What are you saying?" "I'm saying this is where we sent him." "Charlie died." "No," she said patiently. "We sent him to a farm." "Mom, I'm 33 years old. We sent him to a farm." "Is this where that was?" said Dad. "I thought it was closer to Barrie." "No, I remember. It's just over that hill." "Are you sure? I could have sworn it was closer to Barrie." "Mark, I'm telling you, it's just over that hill." Dad sighed. "Well, if you're sure." "She can't be sure," I told him, "because there's no farm. That's just something parents tell kids so they don't have to talk about death." They looked at one another, then back at me. "Where'd you get that idea?" "What do you mean, where did I get that idea?" "Where'd you get the idea that there wasn't a farm?" I laughed. "Because of course there's no farm." "Why would anybody lie about that?" said Mom. "That's horrible." "Why wouldn't there be a farm?" said Dad. "You know, Southern Ontario has some of the best farmland in the world, or at least it used to be before all this sprawl. You can thank Mike Harris and Doug Ford for that, and Hazel McCallion and Bonnie Crombie. You know, when I was a kid, Mississauga was all still—" "You're telling me there's a farm just over that hill which is full of thousands of old dogs that thousands of parents have sent away?" "Well," they looked at one another again. "Yeah." "Well, then, let's see it. Let's go visit Charlie." Dad glanced at me in the rear view. You know, Charlie won't still be. I'm 33, I repeated. Okay. He turned at the next exit, and we whirred over a countryside road with farm fields on either side and a row of elm trees lining the route, leaves just starting to crisp up yellow. The next turn south brought us onto a dirt road, past a weathered but beautifully painted sign reading, Wilkinson's Dog Farm, 3 kilometers. I don't believe this. But for the first moment since the conversation had begun, I was starting to. The dirt road ended at a faded red barn and low stone farmhouse. 5 or 6 old basset hounds and Affenpinchers and Bouviers bounded creakily toward the car, barking and wagging their tails. As we climbed out of the vehicle, a middle-aged blonde woman appeared at the door of the office, phone cradled in between her ear and shoulder. "Feel free just to have a walk around," she mouthed at us, and then ducked back inside to finish her call. We crunched through gravel around the side of the house, passing through the double gate of a chain-link fence, and came through onto a huge green meadow which teemed with hundreds and hundreds of old dogs, Spitzes and sighthounds and sheepdogs and boxers and more, all of them basking in the shade of trees, or digging lustily in the wide tracts of reddish dirt, or chasing each other at a dignified, geriatric pace. You'd think so many dogs all in one place would be chaos. But they were all old and steady, and if any animal growled at the others, the rest knew enough to leave them in peace in some shady corner of the field. "I can't believe it," I said again. "You really brought Charlie here?" "What else were we supposed to do with him?" "I don't know. Take him to the vet, then bury him in the yard?" Mom's nose wrinkled. "That's horrible." We wandered through, petting some of the animals who came up to nose at our hands, taking in the quiet breeze, soft sound of running water welling up at the drinking troughs scattered here and there. It was a really lovely place, and thinking about Charlie's retirement here made me suddenly feel like crying. Mom came up behind me and put a hand between my shoulder blades. "It's all right," she said in a soft voice. I thumbed at the corners of my eyes and watched my dad stride, long-legged up over one of the hills. He was getting old, I realized, for the 100th time. There was scarcely any brown left in his hair, and he had a grayish undertone to his skin these days. "I wonder what they do with the dogs when they finally go?" I asked. As if in answer, my father raised his arm. We came up to join him, and following his outstretched gesture, we looked beyond the fence at a wide green field of rolling mounds. An excavator sat tucked away under the shade of some trees, waiting for the time when it would next be called upon to open up the hills and seal up the familiar of another childhood. "Let's go back," I said quickly. "Let's get out of here. Let's go get some lunch and go back home. Yeah?" "I don't know," said my dad with a smile. "I kind of like it here. Don't you?" My mom laughed. "Yeah, I might be able to retire here. It's better than Godrich, anyway." "Blah, Godrich." I hurried back toward the car, stopping every now and then to wait for them, because they were taking their time and holding hands. My mother, too. She'd always been so active and strong, but now, after her sickness and 2 hip replacements, the way she walked was how her mother had walked near the end of her life. I kept having to blink. Something in the air was making my eyes blurry. "I think I'm allergic to all these dogs," I shouted. "On ahead," Mom shouted back. "We'll be right here behind you." I went back to the car and waited in the heat. A huge old Irish wolfhound came up and stuck his head through the cracked door, staring up with soulful eyes. I politely pushed him out and closed the door. I waited. Well, they were taking too long. Suddenly I had the wild thought they decided to stay and just lain down in the soft grass. Then, just as the feeling in my chest rose up into my throat, The door opened, and my dad ducked into the car, with my mom following on the passenger side. What took so long? I tried to sound nonchalant. Oh, we were just talking to the lady in the office, asking about properties around here. Here? I thought you wanted somewhere with a lake. I tried, not to sound desperate. Somewhere peaceful is more important, Mom told me. Somewhere calm. We were all quiet for the drive back home. I went off on my own when we got back to their place and left them at the kitchen table looking at properties on Dad's phone. Around Fergus or Fenstoke or... I don't even want to know the name of the town. It's been a few months since then, and they're still looking at towns. But I think their mind's made up. One of these days, I'm going to ride the GO train up, and the house will be empty. There will be a note on the glass of the kitchen table. That's all. It'll be saying, "We've gone to live on the farm." And we love you. The Wrong Station is made possible with the generous support of our listeners on Patreon. Join us today at patreon.com/The Wrong Station for bonus episodes, behind-the-scenes content, ad-free listening, and additional goodies celebrating our decade of dread. The Wrong Station is co-produced by Alexander Saxton, Anthony Botelho, and Jacob Duarte Spiel, with music composed and performed by Alon Citrin, and arranged for the viola and performed by Viola Schmidt. You can follow us on social media at The Wrong Station, or email us at thewrongstation@gmail.com. And until next time, thank you for listening.